Snow fell silently over the city of Denver that Christmas Eve, blanketing the streets in a layer of white so pure it almost hurt to look at. The world outside glowed with warmth. Families huddled around fireplaces, children laughed as they built snowmen, and couples strolled hand in hand beneath twinkling lights. But inside a top-floor office of a glass tower downtown, one man sat completely alone. Michael Carrington stared out over the city through floor-to-ceiling windows, the skyline flickering with gold from countless holiday lights. His reflection stared back at him, a man in his mid-40s with tired eyes, a few gray strands in his dark hair, and the kind of face that had forgotten how to smile. He was the CEO of one of the most successful real estate companies in Colorado, but tonight none of that mattered. The silence was deafening. His phone sat beside him, screen dark, no new messages. The holidays had once meant something to Michael. There were memories, his late wife, Emily, singing along to Christmas records as their fireplace crackled, the smell of sugar cookies cooling on the counter, his little daughter, Lily, laughing as she tore through wrapping paper on Christmas morning. But those days had vanished like breath in the cold. A car accident 3 years earlier had taken Emily and Lily away in an instant. Since then, Christmas was no longer a celebration. It was a wound that refused to heal. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of human connection, make sure to like this video, share it with someone who needs a smile today, and subscribe to the channel for more stories that touch the heart. Michael had buried himself in work to avoid the memories. He'd turned his office into a fortress, spending longer hours, taking fewer breaks, and letting relationships fade away. His employees respected him, but no one really knew him anymore. The man who once laughed easily had become quiet, distant, and cold. Tonight, while his staff enjoyed a company Christmas party downstairs, Michael had stayed behind, pretending to review contracts. In truth, he was just avoiding the loneliness waiting for him at home. By the time he left the office, snow was falling thickly and the streets were nearly empty. He drove out of the city toward the quiet neighborhood where his old home still stood. He'd never been able to sell it. It was too full of memories, too sacred to let go. The front porch light still worked, and as he stepped out of the car, he saw the faint outline of the swing his daughter used to sit on. For a moment, his chest tightened so painfully he thought he might break. He walked past the front door and down toward the park at the end of the street, a place where Emily used to take Lily to play. Wooden benches lined the path, now dusted with snow. Michael sat down, his breath visible in the cold air. All around him the world was silent except for the soft whisper of falling snow, and then he heard it, a child's laughter. He looked up, startled. Across the path, 3 little girls bundled in bright pink coats were running through the snow, their boots crunching softly. They couldn't have been more than 4 or 5. Their hair, golden and curly, bounced beneath small boughs as they giggled and chased each other. Behind them, no adults were visible, just the gentle glow of holiday lights from nearby houses. The girls stopped suddenly when they saw him. For a brief second they seemed unsure. Then, one of them, the one in the middle, smiled and approached him cautiously, clutching something in her mittened hand. "Mister," she said softly, her voice like a bell in the quiet night, "are you sad?" The question hit him like a snowball to the chest. He blinked, unsure what to say. Before he could answer, the girl held out a small card made of construction paper. On it were colorful heart cutouts, red, yellow, blue, and green, with the words, "Merry Christmas, whoever you are," written in uneven letters. The other 2 girls joined her, beaming proudly. "We made these for people who looked lonely," one said. "Mommy said everyone deserves a smile." Michael felt something stir inside him, a warmth he hadn't felt in years. His throat tightened as he took the card. "Thank you," he managed to whisper, his voice breaking slightly. "That's very kind of you." The girls giggled, and one of them suddenly asked, "Do you want to see our drawing?" She pulled out another piece of paper, a big rainbow with a smiling sun. "It means happy days are coming," she explained matter-of-factly. He laughed, the sound rusty but real. "I think you're right," he said. "Happy days are coming." Just then a woman's voice called from a distance, "Girls, there you are." Michael turned and saw a young woman walking toward them. She was dressed in a cream-colored coat, with a fur-trimmed collar and a knitted hat that framed her golden hair. Her cheeks were pink from the cold, and though she looked surprised to find her daughters talking to a stranger, there was no fear in her eyes, only gentle curiosity. "I'm so sorry," she said as she approached. "They tend to wander off when they're excited. I hope they weren't bothering you." Michael shook his head. "Not at all. They just made my night." The woman smiled warmly. "That's them, always spreading cheer. We moved here recently. I'm Sarah, and these little snow angels are Emma, Grace, and Sophie." Michael introduced himself quietly. When she heard his name, Sarah's eyes flickered with recognition. "Carrington, as in Carrington Properties?" He nodded, used to the reaction. "Yes. But tonight, I'm just Michael." She laughed softly. "Well, Michael, I think my girls have decided you're part of our Christmas mission now." The girls were already busy collecting snow in their mittens to build a miniature snowman by his feet. Sarah watched them fondly, then looked back at him. "We usually come out here every Christmas Eve. It was my late husband's favorite place," she said, her voice softening. "He was a firefighter. He passed away 3 years ago." The words hit him like a mirror. 3 years, the same year he'd lost Emily and Lily. For a long moment, they simply stood there in silence, the shared understanding between them deeper than words could express. Sarah smiled faintly, her breath forming clouds in the cold. "Christmas can be hard," she said. "But these girls remind me there's still beauty in it. They make me see hope again." That night, Michael walked home with the handmade cards still clutched in his hand. The hearts seemed to glow, even under the dim streetlights. Inside his quiet house, he set the card on the mantel above the fireplace, next to a framed photo of Emily and Lily. For the first time in years, he whispered aloud, "Merry Christmas." Over the following days, he couldn't stop thinking about Sarah and her daughters. There was something healing about their kindness, a lightness that had started to melt the ice around his heart. On Christmas morning, he found himself walking back to the park with a small box in hand. Inside were 3 little teddy bears wrapped in colored ribbons, one pink, one blue, one yellow. When he reached the park, the girls were there again, laughing and playing in the snow while Sarah sat on the same bench where they'd met. When the girls saw him, they squealed with joy and ran over to greet him. "You came back!" one shouted. Michael knelt in the snow and handed them the box. "Merry Christmas," he said. "For my favorite little artists." Their eyes lit up as they opened the gift, hugging the bears tightly. Sarah stood watching, her expression softening as tears filled her eyes. "You didn't have to," she began, but he shook his head. "I needed to," he said quietly. "You and your girls reminded me what this season is supposed to mean." They spent the rest of the morning building snowmen and laughing. For the first time in years, Michael didn't feel the weight of the empty house waiting for him. Instead, he felt something new, belonging. As weeks turned into months, he and Sarah became friends. Coffee at the local diner turned into long evening walks. The girls adored him, and soon they began calling him Uncle Mike. With every passing day, the darkness that had haunted him began to fade, replaced by the gentle glow of something he thought he'd lost forever, hope. By the time the next Christmas arrived, the park had become their shared tradition. Snow fell softly again that night, and Michael found himself seated on the same bench, but this time Sarah sat beside him, her hand resting lightly in his. The girls stood in front of them, proudly holding up another handmade card, this one covered in hearts and glitter, reading "Merry Christmas, family." He looked at Sarah, and she smiled, tears glistening in her eyes. "You see," she whispered, "happy days really did come." He nodded, emotion choking his voice. "Yeah," he said softly, "they did." If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like the video, share it with someone who believes in love after loss, and subscribe for more stories that remind us of the beauty of second chances. Special request: comment below what family means to you. Your words might inspire someone who needs hope this season. As snowflakes drifted through the air and laughter filled the park, Michael Carrington realized something profound. He had spent so long running from pain that he'd forgotten love wasn't gone. It was simply waiting for him to open his heart again. And under the soft glow of Christmas lights, surrounded by the laughter of three little girls and a woman who understood loss as deeply as he did, he finally understood the true meaning of family.